here we make the culture, the diversity of all the people that come here. And I fell in love with it. And, we should really connect with each other and benefit from this diversity. We still have this mindset of, oh, you're not like me. So you need to kind of retrain your brain, that desire to, expand our knowledge, to connect with more people, to learn, to grow. I think we'll always win. And that's, for me, diversity is a key part of that. And diversity in its widest sense, it's not just what we look like, who we love, or our age, our abilities. It's also the way we think, it's the ideas, the experiences that we've had, in our past.
Hi everyone, I'm Camilo Torres, and welcome again to Flow Community Podcast. In here, we're going to have amazing conversation with the beautiful people that has joined our community. We're going to get a lot of inspirations for their life journeys, passions, creations, because we believe that when you share your unique story, you can inspire others. So please enjoy this new episode, and also I would love to invite you to join our community. And if you would like to be part of this podcast, please go to our website, flowwithcommunity.com. Thank you. So please welcome Alex Torre. Hi, Alex.
Hi, great to be here, Camilo.
No, thank you so much for being part of the community, and thank you so much for being here and sharing your story.
It's a pleasure.
And can't wait for learn from you, and and know you a little bit more and in a deep way. Yeah.
Let's dive in.
Yeah, perfect. Also, I got very interested on your career. So I know that you're a consultant. You're doing a great job within the workspace to to have everyone inclusive.
Yeah.
A workspace, and then also you're Italian and you are here in London. So let's start with that. What brings you in London?
It's a long story. I'll give you the headlines, but I am gay. Let's put it out there. And I don't think I've always accepted it, but I think I always knew. And I was born in a small village, very religious, in a very religious family, in a very religious village. So I always felt that I couldn't be myself. I knew that if I would grow up where I was born, I wouldn't be able to live, we say, an authentic life. So I always had that itch to leave, and I always felt that Italy wasn't going to be the right place for me. Just the culture, the people, the politics. We're lovely people. We're very warm. We're very welcoming, but we can also be very. We can exclude people that don't look like us. We will be friendly superficially with tourists and everything, but it takes very very small deviation from the norm for you to be kind of an outcast in Italy. You need to fit a certain mold. Anyway, cutting a long story short, so I left Italy to study. I did a master's in international relations in Belgium, and that led me to do some work in Jerusalem, where I thought I could solve the peace process by kind of facilitating cultural events between Palestinians and Israeli. I had a great time, but it was also very, very tough. And again, it made me think that I need to put myself first, and being places where I feel safe and I feel that I can thrive. So I went back to Brussels for a couple of years, met my partner there, and that's where the story links to London, because after a couple of years, I was sent to Tunis in North Africa to open up an office. And he said, no way I'm going to follow you in North Africa. I'm going to London. So he went to London, and we spent a year apart. And after that year, I made the decision that, it was either my career or this relationship. We were now 3 years into the relationship. I thought, I'm going to give it a go. So I left it all behind, my kind of diplomatic career, and came to London just to be with, the person I love, and kind of reinvented my career a little bit and entered into this kind of diversity and inclusion space. And London has welcomed me. I feel like a Londoner now. And I think, the biggest asset that London has is its diversity. and more importantly is the fact that the city recognizes that diversity adds value to
Mhm.
London. I've never felt like that anywhere else in the world, like not even New York. When I've been in New York, it's great, it's diverse, it's inclusive, but there's a predominant like American culture.
Mhm.
Here, we make the culture. The diversity of all the people that come here, and I fell in love with it. And I never thought I would stay in a city for more than a couple of years. I always thought that I would be traveling, throughout my life. It's been almost 12 years now that I'm here.
Wow.
So London is home.
Wow. So now you're a Londoner. And wow, incredible your story. Thank you so much for sharing. And what makes you said something about reinventing your career. Like
Yeah.
what makes you reinventing it? And yeah, now what are you doing? I would love to know more a little bit more about that.
Yeah. I think, there's always going to be things that happen in life that, you didn't expect, you didn't predict. When you growing up, you think you know what you want to be. And that thing for me was I wanted to be beginning I thought a lawyer, and then
Mhm.
I thought, well, I want to be more like a on the ground, kind of more of an active role of making a difference. So I thought diplomat, that sounded more like, but that's what you see in the movies, like the lawyers and the diplomats that, change the world don't really exist apart from, the kind of Hollywood movies. And so I started on that path, but then I realized that, there's a lot of like politics and things that are done not because it's the right thing to do, when you're working in law or in the diplomatic space. It's just, there's kind of hidden interests and these hidden agendas, of like countries, and the thing that's always driven me was a sense of justice. I wanted to do what was right and feeling that I was contributing to making the world a fairer place, a more just place. And that's how I kind of felt more and more connected to this kind of conversations around inclusion, diversity. We talk about equity now, how we treat people in a way that it's not just we treat everyone equally, but we
Mhm.
treat people understanding what each person needs so that they can have a fair chance in life. And to be honest, if I hadn't come to London, I probably wouldn't have discovered all of this kind of sector that is the kind of diversity and inclusion sector in the workplace, like you were saying at the beginning, which is a very specific thing. And, I started in London 10 years ago, more now, when this kind of conversation wasn't even a thing in the rest of Europe. I think the UK is a lot more advanced in these kind of conversations. And I found my passion. I found that I could use a lot of the skills that I had, the knowledge that I had from a legal point of view, thinking about rights
Mhm.
and justice and those kind of things, and apply it into a context where you can actually change a lot faster because you're kind of taking a small section of the world, and you look at a community of people that work in a certain place in a certain company, and you can do a lot more work with them and change their mindset a lot faster than it takes to change the mindset of like 8 billion people.
Mhm. I love that, and I think well what you said about like life makes you think the path.
Yes.
It's very true. I mean, I from my experience, I'm an architect. I studied to be an architect, did interior design, and here I am with flow, which is completely different. But what you said as well, I used everything that I learned to be here and to
Yeah.
create something special and
Yeah.
to do an impact to the world. And what
Yeah.
you're doing is really nice.
And I think for those that are listening now, I think that's a really important thing to remember, that don't be afraid to just
Hmm.
go with the flow, to go where your life is bringing you, because you're learning things along the way. And even when on paper you might think, oh, this is not a linear career, you're not going from one architecture firm to another architecture firm, you're doing something, but yet you have skills and you have passions and you know what your values are, right? You know what your principles are. As long as you stay true to those principles, your skills, will develop in ways that you never expect, and they will lead you to what you're meant to be doing. So don't be afraid to take that initial leap of faith of,
Hmm.
leaving a law firm or leaving your, whatever you thought you were meant to be doing, but you feel that that's not quite right for you. Just take that jump.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the advice. I love it. And talking back, well, talking about diversity, and what you said about the people, like equality. No, it's what, uh,
Equity, yeah,
equity, which I love that. um I mean, let's talk a little bit more about that, because like for me and Flow is a very inclusive platform that everyone is welcome, whoever the background is. Also, personally, I understand that we all the same species,
yeah. That's what we have in
which,
common.
like, that's what we have in common, and we need
Yeah,
to respect. We're
yeah,
living pieces. We're beautiful souls. But in a way, we are so unique
yeah,
as human beings,
yeah,
and we also, and then we need to understand and respect each other. But anyway, I would love you to explain to
yeah,
me how did you get to understand that?
yeah. It's been a journey, and it often starts with your personal experience.
Mm-hmm.
When you feel that as a human being, you should feel connected, and you should feel like, welcomed in every space, because we're all humans. But then you feel that you somehow disconnected, and people don't treat you in the same way that they treat others. You feel excluded, you feel discriminated sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's because of your sexual orientation or because you're a woman. Women face sexism every day. Disabled people face
Mm-hmm.
ableism every day. Older people face ageism every day. Unfortunately, part of how our brain works, we tend to stick to people that look like us, and we think this is my group, and then everybody else that doesn't look like me, doesn't think like me, I'll treat them differently. So those things happen all the time, right? And when you start realizing that, yes, we've got humanity in common, but the way that as a species, and if you look any other species, any other animal, we are also programmed to survive. And the way that our brain helps us survive is that we stick to what we know. We stick to the people that look like us,
Mm.
that have something in common with us. And that's really important from an evolutionary point of view, because it kept us safe. The idea of a tribe, like this is my tribe, and we're protecting it against someone else's tribe that we don't trust. But in today's society, in today's global, world, in a place where, we should really connect with each other and benefit from this diversity, we still have this mindset of, oh, you're not like me. So you need to kind of
Mm-hmm.
retrain your brain. And that's why I love working in the workplace. When you are at work, I think you're more open to the idea of learning. You feel like there's an expectation that you should be doing certain
Interesting.
things. And so, although it's a very strange environment, the workplace, because you're forced to work with people that you may not choose to spend time with outside of work, but you have to be together. So that may feel uncomfortable, but at the same time, it exposes you to someone who may not be exactly like you. And then, if you pay enough attention, if you're curious enough, you will find that, oh, actually, this person that is not exactly like me can bring something to the table that can be useful to me. I can learn something. We can do something better as a result of us bringing different ideas together. So I think that's how I started to kind of understand that there was
Mm-hmm.
real value, because again, if you think about businesses, if you want to be successful, you need to have people around you that think differently. Otherwise, you're enough. If the only ideas you're going to value are your ideas, why do you need other people around you? So I think this is starting to become more apparent for companies. They understand they need diversity, and individuals as well. They're starting to understand that life is richer if you have people that are, coming from all sorts of different backgrounds around you. You
Mm-hmm.
learn new things, you taste new food, you hear different music. I think people that will have a thriving, beautiful life, that life will be filled with people that don't look like them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love what you said about workspace, and I think I mean, we spend half of our life within the
Yeah,
workspace, and it's very interesting. I didn't see it in that way, that the workspace is an environment that we're forced to be around people that it's not matching our same believings
yeah,
or our same behavior. And it's so interesting to realize that we can't, if you're open, well, yeah, if you're
yeah.
open enough, you can learn so much
We all
from
have a
people.
choice, and the workplace provide us, especially in international places like London, big cities where, because there will be, there will be workplaces where it's a family-run business,
Mm-hmm.
and that's your workplace. You work with your family, that's fine. But even there, you can think, what ideas, what kind of people, what kind of experience could we bring in, or consultants, or even just friends. What friends do I have that maybe I could ask advice when I'm doing this little thing in my family-run business? Diversity of ideas will always add value. But the thing is, we always have a choice, because we can ignore it and we can just feel kind of fear, of that diversity, and just stay away from it. Or we can think, this is an opportunity. This is something, this exciting. And in when I do these kind of things in the workplace, I talk about the fear zone and the growth zone.
Mm-hmm.
Where you decide to step slightly outside of your comfort and you get into growth. And that's where beautiful things happen, because you start having conversations that you never thought you would have. You start learning things, you start experiencing things that just expand your brain, quite literally. Like our brain keeps absorbing information, and if you feed it with new things instead of always relying on the same patterns of behavior and always relying on the same experiences and whatever, our brain expands and we
Mm-hmm.
become more powerful in that way.
Wow. Yeah, I agree. I love what you said. Because thank you for sharing that. It's like I am very very excited what you said, because first of all, it's like the fear of the unknown,
Exactly.
and the fear of the unknown, so many people, and the, well, change, but anyway, that's very related
Yeah,
as well. But then
change,
for the
and yeah.
unknown and to be out of the comfort zone, if your mindset says, okay, no, it's the unknown is good, and you will go and see it the positive way, you just open another
Exactly.
amazing knowledge. I think with flow, flow has evolved, and I think lately, I think the last week, i I started thinking about that, and I started thinking about how people in our life stays for a little bit, and then other
Mm.
people
Yeah, they
come and
come and go.
goes, and other people is forever in
Mm-hmm.
our lives. And anyway, so, but then also, all of them, we learn from them.
Yeah.
And then anyway, I was also thinking about flow, and flow like this, I love, like seriously,
Mm.
like every time I have a podcast is like, so I love it, because I know I get to learn from
Mm-hmm.
everyone. Even though we talk to the same topic,
Yeah.
everyone has a different perspective,
Yeah.
because everyone has different experience in life.
I'm fairly new to Flow. I've joined and I've started to receive the newsletters and I see the stories, and I love it. I love it because, again, if we think back what we were talking about before, how easy it is to just stay within our comfort zone. I realize that I surround myself with, a lot of LGBT people,
Mm.
and I tend to join networks or kind of communities that are just for LGBT people. And even in the few weeks that I've been part of Flow, I've been exposed to other stories, and that and initially it's like, oh, they're not like me. But then if you actually stop and pay attention, you learn and you kind of open up your mind, and it's actually so beautiful what you're building in terms of a community that is for everyone. And you said at the beginning that we're all human, but I think what you've added on top of that is a community that is open-minded, that is inclusive, that is eager to learn. And that's quite unique, that's quite beautiful, because lots of communities are often built around one identity, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's women's spaces or
Mm-hmm.
other spaces. So what you're trying to do with Flow is quite unique, and I think could really trigger that opportunity for growth for everyone in that community. So well done.
Oh, thank you so much for those lovely words. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you. All right. So talking about, well, diversity, and yeah, which is amazing topic. And you said something very special, that London, like, you think London is a very diverse city, and it's an example of
Yeah.
other cities. Do you think being in a diverse community, or making the world diverse, helps with our human development?
Oh, for sure. All the things we've said, and I think it's two things. One is the sort of things that can happen at societal level, and like the politicians and like the system can contribute, and they can go in favor or against of diversity. Unfortunately, we've seen in
Mm-hmm.
recent years, we're not going to go into politics, but it's hard because you get a certain message from the top, that certain people are not welcomed, or and that can slow down the progress, I think. But eventually, if we look at the arc of history, you know that desire to expand our knowledge, to connect with more people, to learn, to grow, I think will always win. And that's, for me, diversity is a key part of that. And diversity in its widest sense, it's not just what we look like, who we love, or our age, our abilities. It's also the way we think. It's the ideas, the experiences that we've had, in our past, and we
Mm-hmm.
bring to today. You are the result of the many yous that have been in the past, right? And you've changed. And I think being able to live in a society where we absorb all of that diversity all the time just makes the whole world better.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you see places where perhaps politics or religion, or other systems keep people away from that diversity. You see that there's less
Mm-hmm.
growth, there's less
Mm-hmm.
innovation, I think there's just less happiness.
Mm-hmm.
I often think about that as, what can bring joy to the world? What can bring happiness to the world? And I think diversity of experiences, connecting with diverse people, can bring a lot of happiness.
Yeah, yeah, 100% agree with you. Thank you so much. That's super lovely. Nothing to add. You say it all. But then yeah, and I mean including creativity because I feel
Yeah.
um I would love to hear from you, but uh, do you think creativity can help for that to start like our civilization
Yeah.
to start being more diverse and
Yeah.
more inclusive?
I think so. And like creativity is something that when you hear it, you think, oh, I'm not creative. You think like artists, musicians, uh, inventors or whatever, and people think that's what
Mm-hmm.
creativity is. And of course, that's the output. But I think we are all programmed to be creative, to think, to imagine things, to
Mm-hmm.
imagine things that could be. So I think creativity is absolutely, one of the key tools that we have, to actually then harness the power of diversity and harness, the power of possibilities and
Mm-hmm.
change. You mentioned change. I think when we accept that we are all creative in our own way, that we all create,
Mm-hmm.
our world around us and our lives, that we have the tools and the ability to be what we want, to be different, to pursue whatever we really feel drives us. We're being creative, and we are creating. And
Mm-hmm.
if we create that in an environment where there's other people that can feed that creativity all the time, we become better, better and better and better all the time.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And also to add why you said before, it's creativity is expression of ourselves, an expression of
Exactly.
our diversity, and it's very important. For me, it's very important because is is you is your representation of your authentic soul,
Yeah.
which is very diverse, and yeah, you have
I
to.
think, when people embrace that creativity that
Mhm.
we all have inside, they stop fearing the judgment of others.
Yes.
And for me, that's what real creativity is. It's not what you do with it. It's not creating a beautiful piece of art.
Mhm.
It's just feeling comfortable with whatever makes you happy, and however you want to express your identity, stopping to fear the judgment of others.
Yeah. Thank you. That I should highlight that and put it put it on flow. Thank you. That's lovely. Right. So to finish this amazing podcast, I would love to ask you three quick questions. You can respond with one word or one sentence. So here we are. The first one. What is creativity for you? what we
Creativity for
were
me
talking
is, yeah, we
about.
talked about, but I think it's liberation. That's what I
Okay,
would say.
nice. I
It's
love
a
it.
way to liberate and express yourself.
Like freedom.
Freedom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. 100% with you. What is your current creative expression?
I think we all have many, right? We have
Mhm.
many ways of expressing ourselves. I think for me, at the moment, like my creativity expresses through the volunteering that I do, especially with Pride in London. And I try to use that creativity to create spaces to have conversations that I care about. So we'll be having a human rights forum, and I really
Yeah,
deeply care about human rights. And so I try to use my creativity in that space to bring people together in different ways. And that's just a small example of what creativity can do. Again, it's not just creating something or wearing something cool. It's also creating something that resonates with your values. And then in a more kind of, I guess, kind of sillier way, I try to be creative with how I express what I
hmm,
wear. And if I go, we were talking about it before, right? If I go to a business meeting, I'll be the only one not wearing a tie and wearing something a little bit different, because I like to stand out. And I kind of embrace that, because after living in fear for a certain period of my life when I was younger, I now feel that I'm in a city, in an environment, a community that allows me to just stand out if I want to.
nice. Love it. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I love that. And what flow means for you? Flow as the word.
Yeah, I think flow is everything that we discussed. Flow is embracing the opportunities. Flow is thinking that life, will bring you where you're meant to be going, and stop fearing, about the judgment of others, about what you thought you were meant to be doing. Flow is that state of just confidence and happiness that just leads you where you're meant to be going.
Love it. Thank you. And where people can find you and where people can, I mean, yeah, where can reach you out?
Well, if you want to see the amazing outfits that I wear on holidays, you can find me on
Right?
Instagram. It's Alessandro Stories. On a more professional level, LinkedIn and our website, diversitypride.org.
Perfect. We'll make sure that everything is included in the description of the podcast. All right. Thank you so much
Thank you.
for everything
No
and
worries. It's been a pleasure.
love this podcast. Thank you so much everyone for listening. Bye.
Bye.